So as the headline goes, and you've probably seen it before, Netflix is leaning in and kind of leading the charge in what is now called second screen media, meaning that your primary screen that you pay attention to is your phone. Your second screen is your television. Netflix or like whatever streaming service, insert whatever streaming service is the secondary screen. So instead of like saying, get off your phone and pay attention to the movie, or instead of greenlighting movies or TV shows that are so good, you can't be on your phone, you have to pay attention. They've just kind of doubled down and leaned in. We can't fight it. Everybody's on their phone, everybody's distracted. So we're just gonna make content that's just easier to digest so you won't miss the plot line while you're scrolling TikTok or texting with somebody. And you know, to be honest, these headlines make me really sad. And you're like, Teresa, how does this affect you? You're not acting in a movie or TV drama. I've always wanted to be on Law and Order. I've always wanted to play an Asian doctor. You know, I have noticed this when I'm out at a movie or even like a live performance. I do see a lot of musicals and plays. I went to Vegas a few months ago and went to like one of the Cirque du Soleil acts, and I've noticed this there too. There's always a handful of people who paid good money to see a Cirque du Soleil act. It's not cheap, and they're on their phone. If they're right in front of me, sometimes I'll see what they're doing on their phone, and what they're doing on their phone is like nothing that they need to be doing on their phone exactly at that moment. Sometimes they're just like looking through their photos. I don't know, they're reading headlines from the news. They're checking Facebook. Like what? Sometimes I see people just open up their phone. They're not even looking at anything. They're just looking at their app like they can't help themselves. And I'm thinking, you know, you paid good money, or somebody paid good money for you to be here. Why did you pay money to leave your house to see a live performance and be on your phone and distract other people around you with a glare from your phone? So I figure if people are acting like that out in public, having dropped good money to see Phantom of the Opera, then no doubt when they're at home, when they're in the privacy of their home, streaming whatever on Netflix, they would probably be on their phone. And instead of finding a way to cure you of your newfound adult ADHD, streaming platforms led by Netflix has just decided to just give in and give up and give you the mediocre content they think you want. Just decided to punish everybody else. You know who's being punished here? People like me. And hopefully some people like you who want to see good movies, who want to see good TV shows, those who enjoy scenes with nuance, those who enjoy good dialogue, those who just want to watch a 90-minute romantic comedy, you know, like the old school 90-minute romantic comedy from the 90s. Now modern romantic comedies are pushing 2.5 hours because most of it is bloated with exposition heavy dialogue, talking about scenes that we just saw with our own eyes. I saw you guys check out the Grand Vistas. Why do you have to remind me about the Grand Vistas? So that's what we're going to talk about today. The dumbing down of movies, the dumbing down of TV shows. I'm not even going to call it content. The reason why it's dumbed down is the reason it's called content. And the fact that movie lovers like me, or people who just appreciate a good story, can't get that kind of entertainment ever again because most people are too distracted by their goddamn phones. And then we're going to talk about that lady who ruins my Phantom of the Opera experience. I'm trying to get my music of the night on. It's like a passionate song. I'm trying to get into the mood, okay? And somebody's aunt is in front of me going on Facebook. And then I can't help seeing I have really good peripheral vision. I can't help seeing out of the corner of my eye, Aunt June going on Facebook and liking or getting into Facebook arguments or checking her photo grid while Phantom is seeing music of the night and I'm not able to get, turned again. So my name is Teresa, and this is title, whatever. Are you even fucking paying attention? I am so down, and I'm so cranky right now, but I guess not cranky enough because I'm using the spatula as a microphone instead of smacking the spatula like I normally do. I don't want to choose violence with cooking utensils today. So I'm sure you guys have all seen these headlines about how Netflix is dumbing down their content. A recent study found that 94% of 25 to 34-year-olds, according to my analytics, that's my demographic here, scroll while watching TV, while 1 in 3 admit that they always do it, and 91% of those aged between 35 to 44 agree. So you guys, this age demographic is like literally my audience demographic. You guys, what the fuck are you doing right now? Are you cooking? You taking a shit? Do you think I'm holding the spatula because I want to be lo-fi girl that you can have on the background? There's nothing lo-fi and there's nothing soothing or relaxing about me, so you can pay attention. If you're watching this while you're taking a shit, you better, I don't know what you better do. You better wipe. This kind of habit, guys, it's ruining movies. And I need to see movies because I need to decompress from all the bullshit I encounter every day. And I escape into movies. Teresa, it's my fault. Yeah, it's your fault. It's like a tag team between you and Netflix and all the streaming platforms. It's your fault. If you're on your screen right now, if you're watching this and you happen to be taking a shit, like, why don't you just pay attention to the shit you're taking? You don't need to like be distracted with two shits at one time. Don't turn me off. The more people are on their phone and the more people don't pay attention to things, then it lets these platforms think it's okay to give us mediocre content. To the point where in TV shows, even with good actors, they're saying really obvious things about what's happening. They're laying out the entire plot line and all their emotions and motivations. The language has become really baited and on the nose. Writers are being told that they have to write in a way that someone can carry on doom scrolling or shopping online while following in the background. The viewer's primary screen is their phone and laptop. They don't want anything on your show to distract them from their primary screen, as if they get distracted, they might look up, be confused, and turn it off. They want visual music. I read this article several weeks ago that it depressed me so much. I haven't been subscribed to Netflix in a long time. But recently I really wanted to check out, the final season of Stranger Things. We've come this far. It's basically like a sunk cost fallacy. I'm going to finish it. So recently I kind of fell off the wagon and I watched the last episode, the last season of Stranger Things. And I have some thoughts. I have noticed that it was kind of hard to get through. The last season in particular, I have noticed several things, checks all the boxes of this second screen prescription. We already went through this plot point before. Why does every episode now include like a preview of the previous episode or a preview of like events that just happened like 2 episodes ago or 1 episode ago in the episode? I feel like in the old days that would just be taken care of by like a previously on Stranger Things instead of the recap. The recap is baked into the show. There was like a mid-season break, and then 2 weeks later they continue the season. I'm not going to give any spoilers other than to say vaguely that Will comes into his power, whatever that means. And that's basically the end of the mid-season break. In the very next episode, we have a recap exposition baked into the show of what just happened in the previous episode. I guess that would make sense if it had been a year, 2 years between those 2 episodes, but it's literally been 2 weeks and they're not expecting anybody to remember what just happened 2 weeks ago. And that makes me so sad. Like, I wasn't on my phone at all during the viewing of any Stranger Things, but the fact that I see the signs of writers expecting you to be on your phone while you're watching it makes me want to be on my phone. It's kind of like I'm at calculus level of math. It kind of feels like I've been dropped into like remedial math, and I'm really bored because I'm like, I know this already. I already know this. And so it's kind of a chicken and the egg scenario. They expect everybody to not pay attention and be on their phone. Therefore, their writing is just so dumbed down and vanilla, over-explanatory. It makes people like me who would not watch any kind of TV show or movies with their phone. I felt tempted to reach for my phone, start scrolling something. They expected so many people to be on their phone that now I want to be on my phone. Just want to point out 2 things that I've noticed without giving anything away, which is not easy to do. There was a point early on in the season where everybody was just kind of referring to each other by their full names. Dustin will literally walk up and go, "Hey, Steve Harrington." Oh my God. To remind you what their names are. And to be honest, like, it doesn't even really matter what their names are. Most people just watch a TV show and they're like, that guy, I know that guy. There was like a scene where Hopper, I think that's his name, he was telling the story of his daughter, his daughter that died of cancer, and he was telling it to Eleven, and he's like, my daughter, Sarah. Of course she knows your daughter's name. She's your adopted daughter of many years. Of course she knows your dead daughter's name. Oh my god. This is why it's just these stupid little things that makes me wonder what I wasted 10 years of my life watching the show for. Bear in mind, I had not subscribed to Netflix in a long time. I've just been hearing about the dumbing down of certain Netflix shows and movies, but I haven't seen it firsthand. I've just been revisiting like movies that are good, older movies that are good, or just watching indie movies or foreign movies. Recently, I got back into watching The Sopranos again. It's a funny story because I watched the first 2 seasons. I borrowed the DVDs from my library circa 2008, so I ended on season 2. And then like 20 something years later, I decided to pick up where I left off. Even though it's been technically 17 years since season 2 and season 3 for me, for my watching timeline, I still remember the characters, and I still remember their names, and I still remember their various character traits. It's just a testament to how well written this show is and how fully fleshed out the characters are, that I could take a 17-year-old break and still pretty much remember what happened in season 1 and 2, versus in like Stranger Things or modern shows right now. The platform itself, they do not have enough faith in their audience. They don't even trust that you'll remember what happened 20 minutes ago. And that's pretty sad. I read this like very eye-opening and somewhat depressing article on The Atlantic. The film students who can no longer sit through films. They're like nicotine addicts going through withdrawal during screenings. They're allowed to stream the movies instead of like watching it in person. Sometimes like the class will have trackers to see if you're like how much of the movie you finish. It's fewer than 50% would watch the movie from start to finish. When asked what movie that they watched recently, a lot of the film students will struggle to name a movie that they watched. But like some made for streaming movies, their titles are very forgettable. And this is the thing that I really just wrote in my notes, WTF. Students who are interested in going into filmmaking don't necessarily love watching movies. Many are non-cinephiles. Why does one even want to become a filmmaker if one doesn't even like watching movies? There's easier jobs, there's jobs with regular paychecks than being a filmmaker. Unless everybody is just under the assumption that it's just so easy to become a filmmaker now, everybody's like a Nepo baby or whatever. Have you ever heard of the starving artist? A lot of the arts traditionally have been very hard to get your foot in the door, to make it. What sustains you when you are a starving artist waiting tables is your passion for the art that you do. This is like your food, your subsistence when you don't have enough food. Your love of movies in this case, your worn out VHSs or your worn out DVDs of your favorite movies, your Spielberg posters on your wall. I just don't understand. These majors are not majors that anybody's parents are forcing them to do. Do any of my like Asian viewers out there who is a science major that never really wanted to become a science major because of our culture? You're like, you gotta be in the science major so you could be pre-med. Like, I understand that. Nobody's parents is forcing you into becoming a filmmaker. This is the same thing I've noticed several years ago where there was that article about English majors at pretty prestigious universities. They have never finished reading an entire book. What the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with you? Honestly, I don't know if it's like I'm getting old or the world is getting crazy. I feel like the world doesn't even make sense to me anymore. Oh my God. Just say, well, this is the way. This is the way the modern world is now. Well, I don't like that way. So this article did mention the Matt Damon interview. What we can glean from that is apparently Netflix strongly suggests that showrunners and writers repeat the plot 3 to 4 times in a movie or TV show, like Groundhog's Day. Here we go again. Here we go again. And then strongly suggests that they put action sequences in the first 5 minutes of film to get viewers hooked. So speaking of action scenes, we also watched the Netflix presents Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein, the new Frankenstein adaptation. And honestly, I did really like it. I read Frankenstein in college. As part of the course, we had to watch the 1930s Frankenstein with Boris Karloff. And then I've seen the National Theater's version of Frankenstein with Johnny Lee Miller and Benedict Cumberbatch. That's very interesting because they both swap roles as the creature or Victor Frankenstein. So for some reason, I've seen my share of adaptations of Frankenstein. But let's just say I like this movie. I'm not saying that all modern movies suck. Guillermo del Toro always nails it on the gothic vibes. He's a big champion of puppetry, makeup, practical effects. And that's what this movie had going for it. The issue that I have that kind of knocked it down a few pegs for me was the special effects. I'm talking about when the castle burns down. And it didn't just burn down in this movie, it exploded. And it wasn't just an explosion, it was just like a nuclear kaboom. I really don't think is believable in the Victorian time period. Like the castle would just burn, but I don't think it'll blow up. There was like a lot of unnecessary action with the burning and the explosion of this castle. I didn't think it needed to explode, but whatever. Then it all accumulated in Victor being blown back by the castle's explosion, and then some really gruesome scene of his leg getting snapped. And I feel like you don't even really need to show that. You can show a burning castle without having to have it go on for like 15 minutes and then blow up in order for Victor to injure his leg. Like a few well-placed practical effects, flames, and a fallen beam. Cut to crush the leg. All the cues you need to show that he will lose his leg. And this is the most ridiculous, unnecessary part of all in this sequence of long, expensive, unexciting action. The creature ends up like surfing, like inches away from the ball of fire, but like surfing through the tunnel. I was instantly reminded of the Pierce Brosnan James Bond, what was it, like Die Another Day? He was just like paragliding, parasurfing through the waves. It was one of those jump the shark moments. Did we need to show this green screen effect of this creature out surfing fire? And then, he drops down a cliff and escapes into the ocean. The vibes of the movie is so Guillermo del Toro. This action sequence is so not him. He would not do this kind of stupid action. I feel like a director who's more into puppetry and practical effects, it's not his signature style. It's like not something he would do. And I'm thinking the powers that be, meaning Netflix, they're following their like playbook of you must add in more action, however unnecessary it is, in order to keep the viewer's attention. But the thing is like if you keep beating people over the head with just more outrageous action upon action, it ceased to be amazing. Whereas before, special effects used to have this certain amount of wonder. It's like watching a magic show, it's fake, but you're in awe and amazement by how they do it. I'm talking about practical effects here. You want to know the tricks of how they do it. But now that everything is in the volume or in front of a green screen or blue screen or whatever, now it's like whenever I watch a movie and I see an abundance of special effects, I'm like, well, I know how they do it now. They just got in front of a green screen and then they added it in post. So the wonder is dead. It's like now the rabbit has been pulled out of the magician's hat, and then you've seen how they did the trick. Before in older movies, like for instance, Die Hard with a Vengeance, they had to close off streets of New York, and they actually blew up this portion of a building. And even though, we all know it's a movie, so we know the pyrotechnics are fake and well controlled, and there's stuntmen and everything. It's like we know it's fake, but we're in awe and wonder of how the special effects people do it. And now the wonder is gone and it's bled into real life. I went to Universal Studios 3 years ago, having not gone there for like the better part of, again, probably 17 years, 15 years, and went on the tram tour. If you guys remember the old tram tour, it was like full of animatronics and King Kong, and they've replaced that with like the Peter Jackson King Kong, but it's all, you have to wear 3D glasses and it's all on a screen. Then there's the Fast and Furious portion of the tram tour, and you have to put on your 3D glasses for that. So it's like everything's a screen. There was a special effects show that used to be there that's not there anymore. It kind of focused on Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, if I remember correctly. There was the backdraft closed stage pyrotechnics show, and that's now gone. And now there's the Transformer 3D ride. Like basically a giant portion of the rides and the shows are now screens. The only live stunt show that doesn't involve a screen is Waterworld, and I feel like that's counting its last days, because as we were walking to our seats in Waterworld, I heard somebody behind me ask, so what is Waterworld? Is it like a movie? The time is ticking on Waterworld, because it's just a lot easier to just have some pre-recorded stuff on a screen rather than pay stunt actors. So it's like this loss of wonder has even crept in to theme parks. Circling back to Frankenstein, there was another instance of just unnecessary special effects. He took refuge with his family in the woods, and there was a wolf attack. And these wolves, they were very bad CGI wolves. They're giant too. They're like out of scale and stuff. Twilight wolves. And that's not a compliment. I'm thinking to myself, why do we need to see all the wolves in all their glory? Like, you could show a wolf attack through a variety of methods that's more clever, less expensive than these ridiculous wolves. Show a wolf paw imprint in the mud. Show a shadow of a wolf attacking somebody. Just show the aftermath. Show some dead sheep. You know, a few years ago, I watched a vampire movie from France, the Vol de Lac. I even looked up how to pronounce this. I've butchered it, I know it. You don't have to tell me twice. The main vampire, who is kind of like really loosely based off Nosferatu, he's a puppet. And I thought it was expertly done. The puppet was actually creepy. I knew it was a puppet, but it was still creepy. This movie had no grand spectacle, special effects. It was a quiet, atmospheric vampire movie that probably didn't cost that much money. I felt once again that sense of wonder of being a kid at a magic show, knowing that the vampire is a puppet. But I'm just amazed how they maneuvered this puppet and how the actors act with the puppet, around each other with the puppet. And I respect it because it does so much with so little while still keeping this sense of wonder that one used to have when watching movies. Why can't we have puppets? So that's all I have for you today. I guess I just wanted to talk about movies as a fellow movie lover to another. If you are one of those people that love watching movies and can sit through an entire movie in one session, I feel like the bar is very low now, but I have high expectations of you. And if you want to sit through a movie with that sense of wonder with practical effects, I highly recommend the Vol de Lac. If you've made it this far, please drop this vampire emoji in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about unnecessary action scenes. I know is oftentimes used as a crutch to give the audience what they feel is like their money's worth, but without a good story as a backbone, then it's just like putting a pot over your head and banging it with a ladle. It's just like a lot of useless noise. I feel like the purpose of special effects, it hinges on this tenuous sense of wonder that you have to instill in the audience. And that wonder comes from an amazement that your fellow human being did it. I'm not even a big fan of King Kong, but back then in the tram tour, when I see the King Kong special effect, I'm like, wow, several people got together and made this animatronic. Even though I don't know who these people are, I have like a spark of appreciation for their work and their imagination. Like, you want to be amazed that somebody somewhere out there created this. It's the wonder of the human ability to dream and make that dream into a visual reality for you. Once you take that away and you don't even pay attention to the visual manifestations of somebody's dream, you might as well all just stay asleep.